Welcome everyone to tonight's discussion. As you can see below me, and by clicking on the video, we are talking Succession, fourth and final season, episode 10, With Open Eyes, series finale. I got my man Nine joining me tonight, and I guess the first question I have for you, Nine, is Tom leading the pack, my man?
It's really going to be Tom. Okay. How do you honestly feel about it?
How do I feel about it? So, and we'll break down the actual moment, but it makes sense just kind of looking at Lucas and his kind of weird behavior towards Tom. He hated him. He said some remarks about what he would do to his wife in tonight's episode. And that conversation that we'll talk about was a perfect example of how things will be ran now. Tom is just a puppet. He's literally just a puppet with Lucas controlling his every move. The man literally insulted him in front of his face. He's talking about the mother of your child, Tom, and he just let it slip through and slide and just took it on the chin. So it makes sense that Tom would be, it was either Tom or Greg, if we're being honest, as far as like for him to be the puppet master as far as Lucas. So it makes sense. But Nine, you've been with me these last few weeks. You know how I feel about who I really wanted to be in charge. And I'm telling you right now, Nine, can someone check on this individual, Nine? Because I mean, it's
I was rooting for him,
man.
You made me see the light, and I was going, Kendall. Oh, Kendall.
No.
He's okay. That was an excellent performance.
Man.
That's viral.
It was so many great moments in this episode, and we're going to get into it. But let us know immediately at the beginning of this breakdown, how do you all feel about the decision? How do you feel about this finale? What worked? What didn't work? There are some unanswered questions that me and Nam will pose tonight. The Pierce acquisition. Someone mentioned earlier what's going on with certain characters that didn't pop up again. We talked about Reva the last few weeks, the whole kids being afraid, like what that really didn't add up to anything.
We get a little bit of a revelation about what he has going on with Reva too and his kids, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, man. And I guess Mankind's gonna win the presidency. That whole debate about the votes being destroyed. So there's some things that were left on the table, but at the end of the day, Nine, as we'll talk about, who was going to succeed, and at the end of the day, the kids didn't. So that's the main narrative got answered, but there are some unanswered questions that we'll get into. But kicking things off now with the beginning of this episode, again, the whole show has been kind of pointing, it's almost too obvious, right? For any movie fans at home, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the promotion leading up to it was Rock is going to die. But no spoilers here, but let's just say it plays out a lot differently if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but it was almost too obvious. And now looking back at all these setups to Ken becoming the killer, Ken becoming his next, in line to run the company, him being the Logan 2.0, we open with him kind of like Roman last week when he was on a high. He was feeling good about himself. Right. He's walking around the office. Hey, what's up, you? Hey. We got to get stuff done. But ultimately, man, it didn't work out. But just before we get to it not working out, man, how did you feel about this opening sequence of things just kind of setting up in play? The deal's going to be set for tomorrow. And, Ken doesn't have the numbers right now to start off. Nine.
Did he even really finesse the votes? He was very confident. And that's what I actually like about Kendall's character, because really he's just going to say whatever. I didn't think that he actually felt that he could get the votes and kind of fumbled into that.
Yeah,
the writing was on the wall, right? And the decision was made that he was just going to go all the way out.
Man, from the get-go, again, the confidence level was at an all-time high. He just feels like he can't be stopped right now. It's just all the stars are aligning, things are working out for him. But if you thought that this man was confident, it's just an interesting parallel, because literally the following scenes after we open with them saying, okay, we got to get the numbers, we got to get everyone on our side, we got to find number one, where's Rome? It's like, where's a missing link to this puzzle here. But we see that same kind of energy that he was kind of given applied to Siobhan, because we cut over to her. And you talk about confidence. She's working the room. Number one, as we speculated for weeks, that you can see the baby is showing. I feel so bad for that baby. Oh my goodness. The mom and dad are just so dysfunctional. But we see the confidence is just exuding from her, man. She's working the room. She's giving Lucas the numbers. And just, again, she even says in this scene now, like, CEO, me, announced, right?
Yeah,
nothing came from him. He just said it just like dance monkey, because that's exactly what she's been doing. Is just been doing everything for him, lifting all the heavy boulders, moving mountains to make this happen, all for it to just. Nine, how did you feel about just was it her being too overly confident that the writing on the, I mean, we talked about it 4 weeks ago that she's going to be
Yeah.
played, but
Yeah.
was it just like, Shiv, come on?
I
what are you
knew
doing?
that they were going to serve her one more L before it all was
Yes.
said and done, right?
Yeah.
And funny enough, it came like right when they both looked down at that op-ed, and it's Madison getting his the strings pulled by Shiv or that cartoon. Right when he saw that, he's like, "Oh no, it's good."
Yep.
That's when he made that decision.
Yep.
He was like, "Okay, I'm going to let you play it all up. I'm going to let you do everything. You're going to get all of my ducks in a row."
Come on.
And oof.
I mean, now I think about when her father played her back in season 2 with the whole like, I'm gonna let you, Pinky, you're gonna be the one, and obviously he took the rug right under her. But I mentioned it weeks ago, you would have thought that Shiv would have learned, right? She seems like a person, especially working in politics, that once you're burned, once you have a bridge burned like that with her father hyping her up and ultimately taking that power away from her, you would have thought that she would have learned, Nine. So I'm just curious from your perspective, like what was it that you think clout her judgment? Was it just being naive? Did she secretly know that it was going to not work out in her favor? Like, I'm just so curious to know from your perspective, Nine, like, how does she not see the writing on the wall? Like, literally, as we see her doing right now, I mean, she's writing off the boats. She's literally moving mountains for this man, and she's not getting anything in return. Not one thing. Lucas didn't give her anything. No assurances, nothing. Nine.
That was crazy.
What the hell,
That
Shiv?
was so
what
brutal.
the hell?
She's been burning every bridge, but I understand because she's been doing everything right and helping him out so much. Like there was really no reason for her to not think that she was going to like have that, or at least be in a position where even if it doesn't all the way work out for me, he can't double cross me.
And you would think too, this is the thing that just really baffles me about Shiv, and honestly all these kids, but in particular Shiv, because she's working with someone to take out her family legacy, was you grew up in the Roy house, Shiv. Like you should be able to read these rooms and read these situations of someone playing you like a fiddle. So again, I don't know if it was just what was the decision for her to just ultimately be so, again, it's the naivety, the ego, to just want to beat her brother so bad that it just clouded everything. It was almost very much similar to just, we've seen a lot of these characters be so up their own butts and just so clouded by their own egos they can't see them in front of them. And the same thing applies to Shiv, man. But like you say, yeah, I think this was the moment here where she kind of sees this photo, just kind of says it all, right? That she's the puppet master to Lucas. I think, like you said, just set him off.
That's what she wants. She was really in that position, right?
Yeah.
And she loves to see herself like that.
A conversation I want to have with you, Nine, and this has been a hot topic for many weeks. This toxic relationship between Siobhan and her husband, Tom, who, we'll talk about Tom a little bit later. But the question at hand is, none of these kids are emotionally stable, and she just can't speak her mind, can't speak her emotions. She's dancing around this whole, like, can we be in a relationship? And I'm saying to myself, now, you're saying this as you're already married. These are conversations you have pre-married and having, potentially a family together. But she says on the phone to him, can we be in a, like, almost like, sending him a letter. Do you like me? Yes or no?
You're right.
Can we be in a relationship? And he flat out tells her he doesn't really know.
Right.
I don't know what to think of this relationship, Nine. One minute they're being, spiteful and hateful and telling each other disgusting things. And then they're having their honeymoon stages all over again. And it comes down to this, man. Talk to me now. What do you think about this scene of Tom really just telling her no? Like, I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can be in a relationship with you.
That was low key the nicest thing she's ever done for Tom, was voting yes. Because even with that knowledge that he was going to slide, that he's going to be the guy, she still she still saw it as a way for them to be together. Do you think it was more of a selfish situation? Or do you think it was actually, do you think that she felt like confident in him, or was it more of like trying to get back at her brothers?
I'm hard pressed to answer this, man, because I'm really not sure if this is one of her. It seems to be genuine, because it didn't, like, if she was like, playing him at this moment, just to have her cake and eat it too. Like, I think she would have been a little bit less stressed on the phone, because you could tell she was crying. She got emotional. This is something that really, I think after all this stuff, I think this season has proven to her that Tom isn't as a big of a pushover as she initially thought, from obviously the first 3 seasons of the show. And most likely the moment that really hit her in the head was last season, when he snitched and told their dad that they were going to run the coup on him. So I think as that happened, and as we saw in this season, in a weird way, Nine, I think that she started to look at him in a much different light and respect him more than she ever had before. So I think she sees something in Tom that is attractive to her, that could be, the father of her child, could be someone that could, maybe make some decisions that doesn't need her input on there. So
like,
I think she loves
such a
him.
toxic thing. It's so toxic, because that might have been like the push for her to be like, oh yeah, you know what? You are cutthroat enough to, like, she almost admires him a bit more just for him like being able to play her.
Yeah.
And now we've seen Tom over the seasons kind of like be willing to bend over backwards, do anything, right? For her, or then Logan. But at the end of the day, he was saying, like, they both know that she knows that about him. They know the worst for each other.
Get back to it, Nine. We're at this point now where the mission at hand is Rome. We gotta get Rome right now. Siobhan knows where he is, because she has a quick conversation with their mother, who lets them know where he is. And, Ken finds out where he is, and they're now on their way to their mom to get Rome to vote on their side. So we know our boy Rome last week completely went off the rails, fell off the cliff. Literally, just he wants to feel something. And he found that feeling by getting beat up by a crowd of people last week. Now he's running to mommy, and mommy's protecting him, but Shiv already got in his ear, man. She's already planted that seed. And I don't know, Nine. Rome is just a child. As Ken is trying to, see if Stu's on board, trying to get his brother on board. And again, Siobhan has already planted that seed in his ear. Nine, just your thoughts on how easily swayed Rome is, because that is something that has always been a consistent thing with his character. He's the most wild card player on the show, but something that is very consistent is if you can talk to him enough, you can sway him to get on your side.
What a little pathetic piece of trash you're being right now, Roman. And they kind of should have left him there.
Yeah,
if seriously. I'm being honest, man, he needs to take more time and just like hang out, chill, man. And get everything, get his life together. He's seen him really reveal himself, right?
Yeah, man.
And like, he just let that wave of his dad's passing hit him in the worst moment,
worst possible time.
And in a situation where that's the opposite of like what he wants people to see him as, right? And under all of that pressure and him crying like that and like actually showing vulnerability to people, it broke him.
It's something that we've always seen him be the wisecracker. Nothing gets under his skin. He's always 10 steps ahead of you emotionally. Like, nothing can get to him. But yeah, like you said, man, he finally grieved, and it was at the worst possible time, and he suppressed it. It came out in a very negative way last week, and it continued over in this week. And again, I'm not gonna forget what Shiv and as well as Ken is doing right now is, again, they know that their brother is very he can be manipulated very easily, so they're taking advantage of that in their own right. Like, they don't really personally care. Like, the man has a scratch in his head. They don't care. They just want to make sure that he can vote on the right side. The conversation that Ken is having with his younger brother is, I need you on my side, man. We literally just spoke about this the night before, that we were going to work together. Me and you, the brothers taking down Shivy, but now it's completely switched that narrative. And then, I'm sorry, Nine, but I would have punched him in his face so fast when he was just kind of mocking Ken and saying, "No, you're a clown. You're this," like, bro.
Oh my God.
You are.
Yeah, he sounded so delusional. Like, oh yeah, why can't it be me?
Have this conversation over dinner with Lucas and Tom, and this is the beginning of the reign of Sir Tom.
Yeah.
First off, Nine, the conversation kind of is swayed with Lucas saying, pitch me, sell me your
Right.
pitch. Why should I keep you? And I mean, Tom is, as you said earlier, that Siobhan said, he's literally willing to get on those knees and get the knee pads out and really make his presence felt. But he literally is telling him, I'm able to fire people. I can do this, I can do that. I'm your man. I'm willing to get my hands dirty, and I have got my hands dirty.
Yeah.
I'm a manager. Da, 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 da.
Hmm.
But then things get a little bit. Then Lucas speaks, Nine. And he starts to, I don't know how this just shows the cowardless and the lack of backbone this man had. I don't care who you are. There ain't no way
Cockroaches.
in hell now that you're gonna say what you got. This man said to him about his wife and the mother of his child in my face without me being in handcuffs. He
I
tells
was
him,
like, well,
bro, he tells this man, things are, she's getting a little bit too comfortable with me, Tom. And if I'm being honest, I just wanna
yeah,
make sweet lovings to your wife.
yeah.
If I can have one thing in the world, it would be your wife. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell me your thoughts now. When I just find the photo of this man's face as he's saying this, what did you think about this stuff? Did you just completely lose all hope in Tom being a stand-up guy?
I thought it was wild, right? Because he wanted to hear Tom's pitch, right? But he had that in his back pocket of like, okay, I have this pitch too. Uh, your wife, for your job, right? And I don't know if they were trying to get to the point like I was like, oh, is he really about to say what I think he's about to say? He's about to make is like Shiv is going to be firing you. If this goes the other way, and if I do pick Shiv, then you're done. But you can let me have Shiv, and you can be the king. Crazy, craziness.
It's like we're back in medieval times of give me your wife for this land or this cow
Right.
or this goat, and I'll make you the richest man in the land. Man, this to me, Nine, was the moment that, okay, it has to be Tom, because literally, if you can say all this stuff to a man's face about his wife and the mother of his child,
Hmm.
then you could do anything. He is now in Lucas's back pocket.
It
Luke,
was like,
he can tell Tom could be told to jump over this table, hop over this person's head, go smack this baby in the face, and he would do it because
mhm.
he is so power hungry now that he is willing to take these insults in this man's face, and he
It
doesn't have the
was
spine, man.
basically no hesitation.
No hesitation.
No hesitation at
He,
all.
he
You
said, are you
had to
uncomfortable in
be
this,
able to,
Tom? He said, no, no, man. Let's
yeah.
going. Keep talking about how you want to screw my wife and
Yeah.
make me watch what you
Ru-
do.
but like really it's like yeah, I mean that's fine, but let's talk about that other thing. You want me to be the guy? I'm like, wow.
This is the shot here. After all this stuff was being said about you, your wife, and all this stuff, this is the reaction from Tom. Big old
Hmm.
smile.
Right.
Sign me up, coach. Put me in.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, yeah, we could keep it a secret, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
mm,
then he has the audacity, Lucas, the
yeah.
audacity to call him Logan Mark II.
Oh yeah.
This
Yeah.
is Generation 2, of the new Logan of this
He's
Succession
not.
world.
I feel
This
like Tom is like a lot sicker than Logan. You know what I mean?
it's
Like,
something, I'll be honest with you now. Yeah, I would rather, not that I condone, Logan's behavior and what he stands for, his philosophies in life, for what we gather from the show, but I would rather have a definitive person that believes in their beliefs so much, rather
mhm,
than someone like Tom that's willing to jump on any bandwagon, willing to jump on any power position. Someone like this is someone you don't trust.
yeah.
I would never trust anything with this man ever in the context of the show. So yeah, man, this is someone you never want to do business with, someone you never want to fall in love with, and damn near have a child with. Is this individual on the screen right now? Because as you see, he will smile in your face and just take
Yeah.
it on the chin.
Oh,
Whew.
they're calling it out. Yeah. Tom the Pain Sponge. That was a interesting line.
And in there, Nine, because Tom's kind of second in command, who we know to be Greg. Greg's just like, yeah, what happened, man? Do you still have a job? Do I still have a job? And Tom plays it very coy. He's like, you're going to be fed. You're going to be taken care of, my little baby boy. Lucas and Oscar talking in their native tongue. And he puts on the translator and it simply just says, when we tell Shiv,
I was actually having a conversation with somebody just a couple of days ago, and they were pitching like, oh no, it's going to be Tom. And I was like, Greg will be in a better position than Tom is by the end of this, right? And this is when I was like, okay, Greg is up to something. He's using every single one of the skills that he's picked up all throughout the show. He's listening in on like just a couple of weeks when Tom told him that like information is a weapon that you use
like a fine wine.
It's a fine wine.
Keep it and then you bash him over the head with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I'm totally with you, man. I did think that there was going to be one more. I mean, he ultimately did tell on Greg or Tom. He not sold him out, but he ended up telling the information that he wasn't supposed to. But I was totally with you. Now I thought it was going to be a little bit more detrimental. It could have been because they obviously was trying to make a move and they were gonna win. They were gonna get Lucas out of that chair. But I thought it was going to be a little bit more like, I have this over you, Tom, and now you're my little lackey. So yeah, I thought there was going to be one more little surprise by Greg. Is there anything at home you guys can take away from the show? You can be the next Greg. Just have the water balls thrown at you, take all the verbal abuse, and you, ladies and gentlemen at home, might be Greg. Man, we have the moment where, going back to maybe Greg not really learning the lessons from Tom. He told him last week, as you mentioned earlier, to when you get information, you store it like a fine wine and you bash someone over the head with it. A little bit premature, Greg. We have the conversation. Greg calls Ken. He tells him the news. He just knows. He calls Ken and again, man, these like little vultures. He says, "Hey, man, I just need to know, are you and Rome really going to win?" Again, they're just trying to find their allegiances and find who they can latch on to. And Ken takes, again, this is like prematurely, but this is the Ken. Again, he takes advantage of the situation. First person he goes to. I don't know none of the character development. I love Shiv. I love the actress. But when the moment happens, I was kind of torn because I was like, yes, it finally blows up in her face that she's been played this whole time. But at the same time, I love the character so much that I kind of felt bad. But then I didn't at the same time. How did you feel, Nine, when Ken ultimately gets the news? He immediately goes, and by the way, I don't want to leave out the fact that Peter, their stepdad, is just a straight up clown. And their mom has Jonathan selling them on some pyramid scheme of like selling, I don't know, blankets to people.
The margins are good.
Yeah, and they're just like, no, this is why we don't visit mom's house. There's a bunch of buffoonery going on. Yeah. So that's going on. He's like, all right, we need to have a little powwow. And how did you feel, Nine? Again, we've been talking about Shiv for the last several weeks about her, turning on her brothers, leaving her legacy behind, the back and forth, feeling bad for her at one point, hating her at one point. How did you feel when she officially got the news that all this hard work she's been putting in to screw over her family and her brothers in particular end up getting the pie in her face, man? How'd you feel about that moment when she was like calling him and not answering? I think
he's not answering. He doesn't usually not answer. Excellent performance, because you can see realization, that sense of panic that was like swelling up with her, right? But I love that character because she is still able to like, okay, right away, what's going to be our next move, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I do like when are united against like a common enemy, right?
Right. Temporarily.
Temporarily for that meantime, they're focused. That was like a lot of what Logan provided. Was that. So they were able to be like, okay, now we're back to pushing this, getting to work. She knew she wasn't like Roman, like, oh, it's not going to be why can't it be me? She kind of just like, it's over for me. Like this is my last one. I don't got another fight in me,
man. The pettiness of me, 9. I almost wish they would have rubbed it in her face a little bit more. I'm being honest with you. Be like, so this is your man's, this is your guy, this is who you rolling with, right? Right.
Yeah,
He's not picking up your calls. Oh, that's weird. That's
Would have
strange. I would have sat in that tub
yeah.
just a little longer, just a little soaking a little bit more. Like, oh
Right,
man,
yeah.
Shiv, that
Wow.
sucks that you went.
Man.
Stab it. But they didn't, as you mentioned. There's a little bit more maturity, at least on Ken's side. He's playing into the situation. Like, come on, what are you gonna do? And she's like, let's screw him over and work together and whatnot. But then they all have their hand in the ring, and this is when you mentioned earlier. Rome's like, well, guys, Dad did say it would be me, and Ken says, when I was 7 years old, he'll say it'd be me, and of course, Siobhan says her whole piece of how it was going to be her, and back and forth. It's just like these are literally children right now. It's like you guys are you're literally bringing it back to being kids, and your dad telling you something and how they took it. It's just like, can you guys just be adults for 2 seconds, please? Where are the adults? But in this moment now, we go from that to them finally having the moment of Ken saying, listen, Shiv, you can have ATN, rule the world for all I care, and run the media. Rome, socials, my man, what you're good at. You like to be on that side of business. I'll let you do that. And things are shaping up to look like a good situation, 9, because first off, whenever I see a character go swimming and it's in the night, I'm like, dude, what's about to happen? Jaws about to come out and eat this man alive. He's about to drown. Something's crazy. But we have Siobhan and Rome talking on the sideline like, well, you don't want it to be him, but it ain't going to be me. It ain't going to be you. They ultimately come to the decision. And also, I love the little joke of like, let's just kill him.
I was like, are they serious?
Let's just kill him right now. Let's hit him over the head. And they're mocking them like, guys, this isn't cool. Like that was
that was
funny.
so good. They nailed that. They nailed it.
Very great Ken impersonation for sure. But now we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Whenever the kids are on the same page, there's like a moment of sincerity, a moment of like warmth that you feel from them, because we know what kind of house they were raised in. Yes, they had a silver spoon in their mouth growing up, but their dad wasn't the nicest guy. He didn't really show them the love that they probably deserved as kids. But whenever they bond together as they're on this little, whatever you want to call it, float on the water, and we're going to anoint you the king. I don't know, 9. It was, as I said,
we were going to get
party. I'm like, it's the calm before the storm. It's like, it was a sweet, earnest moment. 9, how did you feel about the siblings for probably the last time ever?
Yeah.
Bonding with each other.
Man, I did not think that we were going to get a moment like that again.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, I think, season 2 or 3, when they were just sitting on the docks and like, I think they were just like smoking a joint or whatever.
Season 1, it was the night before her wedding that they were on the water bridge and like cheering them. I think each season, I can't remember specifically in season 2. I'm pretty sure there is one, but I think each season we've seen them have a moment where they're like putting all the BS aside and just like cherishing each other's presence. So yeah,
it was a really good moment for them to like be able to push that to the side. I thought they were going to talk more about Logan, and I found it was really interesting is because when Kendall did say he told me it was going to be me when I was 7, they all kind of like were like, oh yeah, he probably shouldn't have done that. Like they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry that like he did
at
that."
that young of an age to plant that seed in someone's head that they're going to be destined for something. Yeah,
and they're like, they kind of had this understanding of like, yeah, that probably did mess with you a bit.
I didn't tear up, but it was an emotional moment that I just appreciated from number one of these actors. It almost just felt like a release, because again, knowing that this episode, the cheese, we're gonna get to the cheese. I go, darling, the cheese, not pizza's cheese. Again, they just buried their father 24 hours ago. They lost their dad 6 episodes ago, so 6 days ago. This is a moment that they finally get to breathe, because and that's why I love about this season in particular was every day was an episode. So we saw in real time, find out some bad news and got to figure it out, wake up the next day and try to figure it out. So like we were in the trenches with these characters, and this was a moment for me that they finally got to just finally kind of sit back, relax, and just have fun. Right, put the BS aside. Who's running the kingdom? Who's doing this deals and all that? Like, this be fun. Like when I was watching this night, I was like, man, this seems like a prequel of when they were kids. Like their mom, when they go to their mom's house, because again, we know Logan had the kids, but when they were teens, they would probably do this every night, make fun of whoever mom was dating at the time, and just being being happy, man. This is something we rarely see, Nine. So I really, really much enjoyed this, and I got a good laugh out of the cheese, dear. Not pizza's cheese. Very funny
It makes me
stuff.
sad because like they never do that with Connor.
God,
They never
Connor,
do that
man.
with Connor.
He is just, man.
Put some
And we're gonna
respect
get
on
to
his
it here in
name.
a second because he had it. I mean, that scene that we'll talk about with them seeing their dad happy, like there's a level of like that I think we all, I'll just speak for myself, that I kind of downplayed the relationship that Connor and Logan had, of like this kind of like he, even though he was maybe a disappointment for Logan, I think there was still something about the relationship that we never really got to explore. But I think Connor, in a weird way, knew that he had a somewhat deeper relationship than other
Yeah,
kids.
I was like, oh, it almost seems like they're all realizing that, like when they were like just striving for his like validation and everything,
Yeah.
Connor was like actually low key just like hanging out with them and like having like more sweet moments with
Yeah.
Logan.
Especially towards the end.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and especially towards the end of, not obviously they didn't know their dad was going to die so soon, but he was really the last one that was like in good position because the other kids were trying to fight him. But I guess before we move on, Nine, was this genuine? Do you think they were literally genuinely happy, sincere, honest with each other in that moment? For a split second, was there some angle, some game being played, or do you think this was a genuine moment between the siblings here?
I think it was a genuine moment.
Yeah,
Well, and like you said, they have a genuine moment
at least once a
at least
season,
once a
at least
season.
once a year.
And I mean, but like, yeah, exactly. But last season, it was probably when Kendall revealed like what he did as an important aspect of like, again, like why Shiv does make the decision at the end.
It's the last hurrah before they say their goodbyes. Because I honestly think Rome and Shiv are probably talking again, but I genuinely think that Kim would probably never talk to them. Like I think you mentioned it last week during the Ewan and Logan, like their relationship, how they never they spoke, but it was never like in a like brotherly love for each other. I think Ken is the Logan in the situation, and Shiv and Rome is Ewan. We're never going to see those pair or those three be in the same room, at least from Ken's perspective. So
Man,
it's
I
kind
don't know
of
if
sad,
Kendall will
man.
ever speak again to
Ever.
anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting back into the next scenes, but I guess the question I have for you now, just kind of looking at it from an analytical standpoint, unanswered questions. We kind of talked about it up top, but just kind of, was there anything that you wanted to see in this finale that didn't? And again, we're going to continue to break down these scenes here, but was there anything in particular that stood out to you that you didn't get resolved? Again, Mencken being officially announced as the president and the ballots being confirmed, the Reva and the kids are their safety being in the forefront. The Pierce acquisition. I mean, there's probably several other storylines, plots that were introduced to us that that's not coming to mind, but those are the big ones that come to mind. Was there something in particular that you wanted from the finale that you didn't get tonight?
There's all of these small like idiosyncrasies that each character has, right? And it's one of those shows that you do want to like just know more and like kind of get a get some closure with everybody, right? I kind of wanted to have like more moments with Jess. I wanted to have some more moments with Jerry.
Manson, the blood situation with Ebba. There's so many like little, Roman firing the executive of the studio. Like, what were the ramifications of him doing that? It seems to be nothing. I mean, there's little things like that come to mind that just felt like, again, ultimately, as we saw from the finale, it didn't end up being that important because they didn't obviously bring it back up. But it almost makes you wonder why even bring those things up if you're not gonna fully conclude. I mean, that's life. Sometimes you don't get answers for certain things. You don't always close a chapter to every book you open. So I guess there's that. But I guess ultimately, at the end of the day, will the kids rule the company? Will they take their father's legacy and run with it, or will they lose it? That was answered. But again, there's all those little side plots, pot B, pot C, that I wish maybe would have been resolved. But this is the last scene we got with Connor 9. Just, I guess, how do you feel about his chapter being closed? Because ultimately we find out that he's going to go to somewhere overseas. Willa's gonna run her opera, her plays in their home, and they're gonna have a long distance relationship, yada yada yada. So ultimately, since this is the last scene with Connor, man, final thoughts on Connor, Willa, will they survive their marriage, this long distance relationship?
Willa, yeah, she seemed pretty excited for that long distance
Yeah,
relationship.
she's like, yes.
But Connor also seemed like happy too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a con head myself, I'm kind of happy for like his character. He's going to be doing what he wanted to do or whatever. He's trying to make an impact, and at the end of the day, he didn't win the election, but
Right.
he is he's still making moves. He seems to be mentally in a better place than anybody else.
It's a good point, Nine. That is a good point because when we first were
Willow for the
introduced to him,
streets.
well, I
Sorry, I
see
was
that,
just.
yeah. When we first introduced to him, he was just always the outside looking in and kind of kept his hands out of the family business. But he got a wife out of this show. He has some type of leadership, whatever he's going to be doing overseas. He's going to be some man in position of power. So I think out of all the kids, funny enough, he got the best out of the situation. He walks away with he lost 100 million, but he just gained probably, I don't know how much the split is between however much the company was ultimately bought for and split amongst his children.
Oh yeah,
He's walking
he's
out pretty
good.
happy man.
He's good.
Yeah, man.
And I thought it was like a very interesting thing because they made it a point to be like, what about dad's medals, right? And I think it's like very interesting that he's the one that he's like, I'm taking these,
Right.
and
No
of
debate.
course with the memories that he was able to share with his father or whatever. So like in
Yeah.
a way, like he kind of is inheriting a lot more from from Logan than anyone
Right.
else. Yeah.
Well
So that's
said, man. Well said. And I mean, that's a perfect segue now into the man, the myth, the legend, making his final appearance in in an artificial way, which is via a video that I think they said it was taken about a week or so before I guess the series or this season started, or kind of a week before he passed away. But it was like a virtual dinner where obviously we know Siobhan, Ken, and Rome weren't there because they were obviously trying to take out their dad. But it was a moment that I think they got emotional because they realized like all this time that we were trying to defeat him and prove him wrong, they missed out on like these tender moments with their very, bigger than life father who they were terrified of since kids. But it's moments like this, it shows you that even though he's a very intimidating individual, he did have moments like look at that Carrie, Jerry laughing, Carl from like what is this real? What is this
yeah.
manipulated, right? But no, it shows you those tender moments that it shows that he did have moments like this. But what did you think about this scene? The last time we saw Logan essentially on screen was having a fun time, but he didn't have any of his. Well, he had Connor there, not to neglect
Right.
Connor, but he didn't have the whole
Yeah.
family there.
Right. Yeah. He's with his people, right? He's with the old guard. They're like singing old, war songs, right?
Yeah.
Like, they go way back, right?
Goes to show that Connor and his as I'll pull up here, they had a again, you can theorize who was maybe the closest son, Ken, Rome at one point to Shiv. But I mean, Connor, we always kind of make fun of Connor, but he had a relationship with his father. It might have not been the most stable or most consistent, but it was something that Connor respected from his father. And the same could be said about Logan. But yeah, it was a nice moment, man. And again, the kids, again, maybe a little bit of regret that they didn't get to spend these type of moments with their father one last time. And again, going back to the Logan in the scene, he looked happy, Nine. Like he legit looked happy with, I guess, going back to my whole unanswered questions to an extent, Carrie, like,
Yeah.
was she ever pregnant with his child? Did they, because that
Yeah.
whole thing of season 3 when he's like, he's taking some medicine to have kids again. But, Carrie's in the scene. He seems happy with her. And like you said, he seems happy with his old guard and seems to be content. Speaking of babies, Nine, these two parents are expecting a baby, and I wouldn't want to be that child growing up in this house because my goodness, Nine. As we kind of wind down the episode again, everything's seeming so happy. People are laughing and crying and coming together, but nah, not at this point, Nine. We have the moment between Shiv and Tom, and he's playing kind of coy to the situation about him knowing the information. She kind of looks at him, he looks at her, and he says, I might as well just tell you, honey, because you're going to find out eventually. It's me. It's me, your boy, Tommy boy. taking over the company, and she obviously her first reaction was "F off, get out of here, stop playing with me."
The
But no, he
rage.
says, "No, it's the truth. I'm the one. I'm the king of the company." And my goodness, Nine, as I was doing the watch party tonight, I got chills of just that switch in her when she, again, going back to earlier in the episode, when she put that switch on when she found out that Lucas betrayed her. Now that Tom's getting control, when she's just like, let's go, let's take them out. And then the score pops in. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
I was like,
let's
oh, they're going
go.
to go to war. That
Yes.
was epic. And I love how, because Shiv has got that thing where she's like can read minds a little bit. You
Yeah.
don't have to say the full thing, but he's like, yeah, but maybe you should still vote for
Yeah.
that deal
Yeah.
to go through.
Just got
And
to
she's like,
slightly.
she like is in disbelief.
Yep.
She's picking up on the subtext, right?
Exactly.
But she
Exactly.
is in disbelief. And again, Sarah Snook, phenomenal actress, and you could just
Man.
see it all over her face, like the just realization.
Yep.
But it's like already had that realization that she wasn't going to be the one, but then the realization that it was going to be Tom.
Tom, bro.
Wow.
Nine, I'm thinking of season 3's finale when she found out that Tom told on them and told Logan that they were going to, go behind his back and whatever. And that look on her face of just pure shock. And she didn't really have a response. I think she kind of learned from that in this scene because her response, she was stunned in season 3, but now she's, back in action. But I don't know which feeling which her throat dropped. Was it season 3 or was it in this moment hearing the words that either her husband sold her out to her dad or that her husband's going to be running the company that her dad built? I'm just very curious on which moment Siobhan felt just the worst because the scene's
I
just
would
beautiful, man.
say, this one had like a kind of like double whammy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But last season, that was just an iconic moment
Yeah,
because
man.
it was another little small moment of nothing really needs to be said.
Right.
He just put his arm on her last time, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's intense.
I
That's
agree.
intense.
And I think to your point too, the beauty of this particular moment was we didn't see the aftermath of the, when they found out that Tom, or at least she found out, she put two and two together that Tom snitched her out. We obviously that was the finale. We didn't see the aftermath of that. But this one, we actually see her reaction, which is immediately going to her
Right.
brothers and saying, let's kill this deal. Let's work
Yeah.
together, which just makes what's about to happen next even more baffling. Her decision ultimately, what she decided to do, like when did it click for her or maybe
I
disconnect
was
with her that
gonna
it's like,
ask you
yeah,
that
man, because
because it was like because she was like FREE and then she and then she switched up again. I was like, okay. Um and it might be just that realization,
yeah,
right? That she's like, I'm gonna be playing this game for a long time,
yeah,
right? And all it's led is like my heart being broken, getting betrayed by like all of the people. I'm betraying everyone in my life. And maybe it was that like right there. I need to get it.
oh
But
man,
there's like a little realization.
yeah.
And
And
it's
the
like,
fact too, like we talked about earlier, not it's Tom. It's the
it's
guy that she brought
Tom,
into
guys.
the family that she put in the
Right.
position to be the manager of AT. And she
Hmm.
almost going back to what she did for Lucas of propping these, and again, this just speaks to, I guess, just women in the workforce. Siobhan and kind of feeling that kind of bad for her. She's built a lot of these men to get in these positions, whether it is a Tom, whether it is a Lucas, whether it is helping her brothers out, even though she ultimately was trying to sell them out. But there's all these moments of her building up these other men for her to ultimately get the short end of the stick, and for it to be Tom in this moment, Nine, it just had to be a realization of just like, you, the guy
Yeah.
that I was above this whole
Yeah.
I chose you. You didn't choose me in this relationship. Oh man,
And I'm saying
that's a
it's like,
moment. That's a
what
moment, man.
exactly did Tom even do? He really
Right.
did not work for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Like
how, as you
if he
said,
would have went to jail for that whole, crew situation, would have
yeah,
served like a year or whatever. It's like
right,
the man put in the work.
yeah.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, for this one, like you said, like again, yeah, that sexism in the workplace, corporate
yeah,
workplace. She did build up all of these people,
Yeah.
I would, yeah, like, it does seem like at the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh yeah, she's like running shit. She
Yeah.
is like making like making good moves for Gojo, leading Madison to she would have been good CEO. She would have been.
Yeah, with a little bit more experience, I could definitely see because I mean, to your point now, I'm just thinking about all the stuff she has kept things afloat to a Logan extent.
Mhm,
Going back to the crew situation, who was it? And you mentioned it weeks ago. Who was it that talked? There was a witness that worked for the company that was going to
mhm,
snitch and tell them all the evil deeds, but Siobhan was the one that spoke to her and used her
mhm.
womanhood to say, "Come on, let's maybe not
Again,
put you in a
yeah.
position that you're going to be in. Family's going to be
Yeah,
scolded for years to come. Let's not do that." Siobhan was the one going to this season. She bumped up the price. He was the one that spoke to Lucas that night and got the price higher. It wasn't the boys that saved the deal. She saved the deal. So there's all these
mhm,
examples, and there's probably plenty of others that I'm missing throughout the series that she has been there to pick up the pieces and not get the credit that she deserved, essentially. And for her to have Tom look at her in the eye and say, "Not you, honey, but me." And it goes back to
yeah,
the conversation they had back in season 1 of, "Let's build you up, Tom." "Oh no, now it's my chance, Tom." But it ultimately goes back to
exactly,
Tom that the
exactly.
man of the relationship gets the time to shine, man. I know there's a lot of people that aren't the biggest Shiv fans, not for any other reasons, just because the show makes it that every character in the show is
Mhm,
hard. Is a point of the show, even me, that I didn't like Ken, my favorite character. There's moments
mhm.
in every episode or maybe every season where your favorite character is the worst
All
character.
of them are the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
all of
all
them are
terrible.
still the worst.
Yes.
And yeah, when we speak their praises and like, we're rooting for them,
Yes.
we hate these people.
Exactly.
We just love to hate them.
Exactly.
So
Exactly, man. Exactly. But it doesn't stop there, 9. Not only does he tell his wife that he's the one, but now he has to tell his other wife, Greg. One more moment between the disgusting brothers. Well, one more moment ultimately before they get their ultimate victory lap. But
I've
slappy
been
match,
waiting
9.
for
They're in the
this.
bathroom and because he finds out from Siobhan that Greg was the one that told. He's like, she goes off and he's like, "Greg, can I talk to you? Got to make some strategic moves, this, that, and the other." He takes to the bathroom. It's like, "Really, Greg? Really?" Like, well,
And
Tom, you
I've
did
been
tell him to
waiting for this.
keep the information and bash it over your head.
Exactly.
You did tell him this move, Tom.
Right.
Man, they get to slapping each other. I don't
Mhm.
know, because I just get such a good time out of these characters. I almost kind of felt bad for them because I'm like, "You guys, look where you're at. From where you start to where you're at. Why are y'all
Right,
fighting in the
right,
bathroom?" But
right.
the slapping match had me dying.
I
Anything you got to say about this slapping match between the two?
I've been waiting for Greg to slap
To fight
Tom.
him back.
Yeah, like do something.
Do something, man.
Do something, my
Something
guy.
fun.
And he's gonna keep on growing. The Disgusting Brothers are back at it again,
Can't
for this
stop. Most.
decade and the next. Yeah.
Now, which one surprised you more? Was it Chris Rock being slapped by Will Smith, or
Mhm,
Tom being shocked that Greg actually stepped up and slapped him back and said, "No, no, no,
mhm.
I'm going to fight back."
I mean,
These two are hilarious. I'm telling you, Nine. Give me that spinoff, 2025.
oh yeah,
Greg and Tom,
just Greg and
Succession.
Tom. Yeah,
Succession presents the Disgusting Brothers coming
yeah,
to
the Disgusting Brothers,
Max.
right?
So let's wrap up the episode here, 9. We're now at the point in the episode where it's time for the meeting to take place, time for the board to speak. And, I felt the tension, man. Again, at this point, the show went from, again, we had all these kind of sentimental, sad, bonding moments. And now it's like, no, we got to really get to the going. Lucas is like, "Get on the phones, call, because he obviously knows that the word's been out there that the CEO won't be Shiv. So he obviously knows she's going to jump on her brother's side. We have them walking in the office. And again, I just want to point out from the beginning of this episode to the middle of this episode to this point in the episode, the confidence level from these kids are like, "All right, we're good." You see Rome smiling, Ken smiling, Shiv in the back. We think as an audience, maybe they're going to get their stuff together. They're going to figure it out, 9. But they're not serious
Yeah.
people, 9. As we pivot through and before we get into the actual meeting, there is a pretty pivotal moment that was, two pivotal moments. One, who's going to sit in the throne? Who's going to sit on the Iron Throne?
Oh,
And we
that was
see
so funny.
Ken officially just kind of like,
Yeah.
I got the picture here where he's just, getting acquainted and thanks for saving the seat, keeping the seat warm for me, Dad. I don't know. How does it look, Nine? How does it look?
I really
Is
love
that a
that
CEO?
because he actually sat down and he was like,
He's like, man, I can
"Oh
get
wow,
used
it's
to
a
this.
swivels, it's
Yeah.
swivels. This is nice. This is nice. I've seen this before. We've seen this energy and confidence the last time he got plagued, or at
Yeah.
the first time we see him, right?
Yep.
And it happened with his own father, right?
Exactly. His own
Um,
blood.
and he still, he had that same energy, right? Uh, and it felt weird because I was like, oh, he's actually going to do it this time, right?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. I mean, look at this now. My man's feet's up, talking to Stewie. He's like, oh, Stewie, hey, get in here, man. CEO,
Mhm.
you're a CEO, you're a chairman, you're this. He's just handing out titles like he is the king.
I
And again, I think Nine, when you asked me earlier, when was the moment that Siobhan, after having this moment with her husband, wanting to kill her husband, I think this was it here, Nine.
when
I
she
think this is
saw
the
the
moment when
beating,
Siobhan looked at her brother and saw the cockiness, the arrogance in her dad's
mhm,
chair. And she said to
yeah,
herself, I will not allow this to happen. I think this is
yeah,
the moment, Nine.
yeah. Right when he had the feet up, we saw that look from
Mm,
Shiv,
mm.
and she saw the future for like a brief
Yeah.
second. She just like, I could see everything so clearly,
Yep.
and he is not going to have my back the same way. Like he's going to throw me under the bus. Um, and she was probably like, okay, last time I agreed that it was going to be him and Roman,
Yeah.
and but I was still going to get a piece of the pie.
Right.
And she's like, you know what? They're not gonna ever
Yep.
give this to me at all, man.
Yeah,
Look
man.
at that face. She was
Look at the
like,
face. It says it right there, guys.
okay, you know what? No.
Yeah, I can't roll with this. I can't go here. Yeah, I think this was the moment. Let me know how y'all feel in the comment section. If you feel like this was the moment that Siobhan said to herself, I cannot let this man run this company. He's in our dash chair. He's being overconfident. He's giving out titles like they're, Oprah giving out cars. And she
Mhm.
just couldn't allow it, man. I think this was it, man. I think this was it. But unfortunately, Nine, Ken is not aware. He's not reading the room. He doesn't know what's about to happen to him. It's all about to crumble down. But as we pivot through, we see this confidence level from the siblings, but then Jerry walks into the office. Nine. I don't know which one shook him more. Was it Uncle Ewan's speech last week, or was it seeing Jerry walk into the office? Because he goes from 0 to 100 real fast, because he looks at her and he's looking at his scar and he's going back on, why wasn't it me? Why
That
wasn't
was
it me? And then his brother hugs him and embraces him. And we know he's so closed off to his emotions. He doesn't know how to grieve. Not that there's a handbook to grieving, but he just doesn't know how to process his emotions. They hug each other. He's like, oh yeah, I hate you. Stop it. But it just speaks to just the complexity of their relationship, but also the complexity of Roman just being a complete wreck.
yeah. And you know, you're saying that, Ken was hugging him, but it also it seemed like he was like, purposely trying to like dig into his stitches a little bit.
That's a good
Right.
point. Yeah.
Aggressive hug right now.
Yeah.
But like I was trying to figure out what was going through Roman's head right in that moment. Like to go back to being like to seeing Jerry and being like, oh no, it could have been me, right?
Right. Right.
I'm like, dude, like you seem very delusional right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense of like, look at you. You can't
You're a
even
mess.
compose yourself. You can't
Yeah.
be in the same room with this lady that you are so high on your ass firing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh and it's another part, like ever since we have been seeing him like reveal himself, or what type of CEO he would be, just if he's not being compared to his father in the right way, he's going to be flying off the handle. What makes him think that he can be doing
Was the
that?
respect that Jerry had, the video that he watched when Jerry was in the room with her father? Was it, again, the emotions of him firing Jerry, but she still ended up on top? Was it, and again, you mentioned the embarrassment of him throwing himself in front of those people and having the scars and not, being the
Mhm.
man? It's a lot. It's a lot going on in his head, man. But I think this, speaking to the Shiv moment, I think even though he ultimately was siding with his brother for a bit. But I think he knew deep and down inside that since it wasn't him, I'm not going to let you be the one either. It's just it's a vicious game that they're playing here, man. It leads us down to these final scenes. 9, we're all at the boardroom again. Ken's feeling good. He has his siblings on his side. At least he thinks he does. We get the call out. It's first Carl, which is or Frank, I'm sorry, which was kind of interesting that he was the first one to go against it, because literally 2 weeks ago he was thinking about siding with Ken, doing the reverse Viking, and he's Ken's godfather, but he says, "Yep, I'm taking this parachute and I'm running with it." I don't know the other 2 ladies' characters' name. I don't think we've ever met them, but they vote against it. And then we pivot over to, we know what Ken's vote is. We get to Uncle Ewan. His vote is, keep the company. Same with Stewie. It was a little shaky when Rome. He kind of paused. He was like, "Nope, I'm keeping the company." 9. It gets down to Siobhan, and I just had this feeling in my stomach, like, what's going on? Is loading? Screen's loading. What's going on in her head? What is she doing?
Yeah, there's a buffer. She was buffering it out.
She says, "I need a moment to think." And Ken's high becomes ground zero, man. She stops the whole thing. She says, "Nah, I need to think about it. I need to think about the decision." Again, we talked about it. Could have been the moment of him celebrating too early. She walks out of the room. And this is where they just showed their ass, 9. I mean, the kids are literally not being serious people. There's a time and a place, 9, and this wasn't the time nor the place.
Bro,
9, this scene here, I thought he didn't hit it. He kind of grabbed her and not pushed her, but like no, get back. Like, it was very aggressive towards not only a woman, but your sister and a pregnant woman as well. It's like all that stuff.
That's fine.
And I mean, 9, man, the scene is just so it's almost very devastating, because again, we just saw them kind of coming together, working together. She tells him, "No, I don't feel good about it. I changed my mind." When did you change your mind? And Rome is like, "Yeah, what's going on, Shiv? This, that, and the other." And then it goes back to Tom's quote about, if you have information, just store it and no one to throw it out there. But this, I don't know if you throw this out there. And my goodness, 9, that for real. I can't let you be the CEO because you killed someone. What do you mean I killed someone? Well, which one? He says, which one? What do you mean, which one? How many people have you killed, Ken? No. I mean, I never killed anyone. I just said that. I was in the moment. I just wanted us to bond. Wait, you wanted us to bond? And that's when Roman got off the boat. Was like, wait, you lied about killing someone to be a family? 9, I don't even know where to start, man. I'm just like jaws on the ground. I'm like, well, what's about to happen right now?
That made me despise Kendall. Like, in that moment, I ain't never been like that pissed off at him, because listen, he doesn't even care at that point. He's not even like, he's not willing. He's not even seeing clearly, right? He's seeing red right now. And when you lied about that, well, first off, she said that very loud. I was like, hold on. Can you shut the fuck
kill someone? Yeah. She's joking, guys. She's talking about Call of Duty.
Right. I was like, is there like a conference phone in there? Like, I hope you're not on the intercom right now.
Right, guys. We're on call. We're on the phone, guys.
Again, he's not willing to, either you did or you didn't. And I mean, we all know what happened. We all know that, he was a part of that.
Part of someone dying. Yeah.
Part of that.
It wasn't intentional, but it happened. And yeah.
But again, like, all of the cracks, and he's like, yeah, now you're just looking like a scared little boy right now.
Yep.
They are actually like he's being like the biggest baby in the world.
Yeah.
Like the biggest child.
And this might just be the Kendall fan in me. You think about season 1, you think about all the stuff he's been through. You think about he's been through the most in the show. If we're, putting my Ken fandom aside, he has been through the most in the show. So you kind of understand where this childish behavior is coming from. Like, this is mine, having this temper tantrum, but it's still a level of like accountability that needs to be had in this moment that he didn't take.
Exactly.
And like you said, 9, the embarrassment in this scene of him just literally not even knowing what to say. Like, no, I didn't kill anyone. I made it up. No, it didn't happen. It's just like, wow.
Mhm.
We are watching
Mm.
the destruction right in front of our faces, man.
Yeah.
Because honestly, now he's seeing his whole legacy, the whole dad telling me since I'm 7, I'm going to be running the company, dad giving me the company, but taking it from under me being a little quiet puppy doll all of season 2 to finally getting ahead of my dad to now having this moment all for it to break down right in front of him. 9,
Mhm.
my goodness. And it doesn't stop there, 9, because it gets violent, as you said.
Yeah.
Shiv tries to leave. He pushes her back. Ken is like, hey, man, or Rome telling him to calm down. It's not only, she's pregnant, man. What is wrong with you? So, man, this dude was bad. He went cold. He went John Wick. I don't know who he went. Michael Myers. He tries to crush his
Michael
brothers.
Myers,
I mean, he is.
Undertaker shit. Michael Myers, Undertaker. And yeah, I mean Roman said that line too. Like, man, they they really came after every single thing that Kendall, like, probably deep down been feeling about himself. I mean, one, you got your sister be like, well, you killed somebody. 2, you got Roman be like, yeah, you know, you got kids, but really they're not blood. I'm like,
Ooh, their
wow,
bloodline. What do you mean?
wow. And
Nine. He says one is a buy-in, the other is a half Reva, half some filing cabinet guy, right?
okay.
A
Okay,
test
so
tube.
like a donor.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
probably like
Exactly.
okay. Wow. Yeah, that just the
And
way he phrased it.
ooh, and 9, this reminds
Nice.
me of the Dark Knight with Batman getting when Joker got under his skin.
Mm-hmm.
And he just can't control himself. And he's smiling as he's getting like, look at Rome's face, bro.
Yeah. When
That's
in the interrogation room.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Whew.
Man.
And this is that thing where your closest family or friends know you the best, and they can hurt you the worst because
Mm-hmm.
they have all that on you. I mean, yeah, it's like levels to it. That's
Mm-hmm.
just something you don't say, man. But it doesn't stop there. He has even more of a temper tantrum. He's screaming, he's yelling. Siobhan eventually leaves the room, and she ultimately goes into the boardroom and says she's the 7th vote. But meanwhile, as you mentioned earlier, Rome tells his brother, like, come on, man, we're not essentially just saying we're not serious. I'm nothing. You're nothing. Shiv's nothing. And just pretty much says what the dad said. We're a
Again,
joke.
like getting
We're
back
we're
to
backup band.
that accountability, like in his head, he's like, as he's walking Shiv walk out to give her vote, he's like, all right, how do I come up with something like really quick? Think. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're already cooked. You
Yeah, man.
cooked. And the downfall was so hard. That was difficult. That was difficult to watch. Yeah.
And then, and not to backtrack too far back, but Ken in the same scene, he tells them, tries to again sympathize with his siblings, like, guys, you don't know how much this means to me. Like, if I don't get this, I might die.
Yeah.
Um, and even him telling them that didn't stop them from doing what they did, man.
He did. He
We
did die a
we
little bit.
he did. No, for sure. Like there's pieces of all these characters that will never be recovered in this
Mm-hmm.
room. And I think that, again, we're never going to know the follow-up to this, but this is the last time I think that we're going to ever see all 3 of them in a room together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we end with Siobhan says the 7th vote. Ken's going back to, it was almost, and again, rewatching this scene and thinking about season 1 when Ken found out that his dad was going to end up taking the company back, and just the stillness, the coldness, the emptiness of like his whole life has been built up to this one moment to be taken away from him, as you had mentioned earlier, not just from anyone, but from someone of his own blood,
Mm-hmm.
taking it from under him.
Mm-hmm.
Goes in the elevator. And then Rome was left behind to take the most uncomfortable photo op that I've seen in a very long time. At first, I thought Jerry was in the room. That's what I thought. But then when he said I don't want to be in the room with him and this, but it's like we find out that it is Manson, and it goes back to one of
Yo.
his Academy Award winning scenes in episode 5 when they were on top of the hill or top of the mountain, and when Lucas said to me, "Oh, you effed up," Lucas got the last
You're
laugh.
right.
He ended
Yeah,
up on top.
yeah. Ooh, and you know what? I thought while they're taking a picture, I thought we were about to like see Ken like
Come out of
drop
nowhere.
off. Like, no,
Chill,
I'm not
chop
talking about
everyone.
like off the roof. We'll just see him
like in the background, you see a
yeah,
body
the
drop.
background.
Oh,
I was like, I thought they were about to like, have some Ken photobombing them off the roof. Yeah.
that would
um,
have been
yeah,
dark.
that'll probably be a little too much, but I was getting the sense. I was like, what's Kendall going to do? Like, I really, right when he was like pressing that elevator button, I was like, ooh, this isn't looking good.
Going down to floor 0, going down to the basement, going down to hell. It's oof. Yeah, man. It's and look at Ebba, by the way. It makes me even think about it again, 9, about the games that Lucas was playing. I don't even going back to the whole blood ex-girlfriend. That might have been a goddamn lie. That might have just been a whole game that he was just playing. Look at the man smile. And I love, by the way, also I love the scene. Just to kind of backtrack a bit, we're seeing Hugo. Hey, Tom, congratulations. Frank and Greg kissing the ring and saying that if they're going to stay or go. It's just seeing all these people
I was always pulling for you.
I was always pulling for
you. Yeah, all of a sudden he's the GOAT.
He's the legend, right? And then even to go back to the Disgusting Brothers, Greg has found, or Tom has found what he's going to keep, and that's his little Greg toy.
Right, yeah.
I'm going to keep it along for the ride, kid.
Mr. Wasabi himself.
Mr. Wasabi and LaCroix himself is now an item owned by Tom, the new CEO of Waystar-Gojo Company. Wow, 9. We take the photos. Rome goes out. He has his little moment that he's, sipping his little martini. He's like, hey, whatever. I'm going to get my millions and just go wherever the wind takes me. We end with this toxic couple in the car, 9, their hands hovering over each other like they're robots, and silence. He tells her earlier in that scene, he's like, oh, I'm going to have a car if you want to join me. And she joins him. And like I said, 9, the picture says it all. Like, what is this? Is this love? Is this contentment? Is this hatefulness? Is this just...
This is like again, like reverse hero's journey type of situation here. Like all of these characters are a lot less than they were.
Yeah, man.
It's like it's over. Like there's like they got nothing in here no more.
Yeah.
A lot of them have nothing in there.
Yeah.
They gamble with their souls. And and at the end, Tom won. And turns out he never had one. So he was good.
He was good all the way through. And then it leads us to the last kind of shot of this season, man. And that's Kendall. Like, I mean, as we wrap it up, 9, I mean, and we'll kind of summarize it to just final thoughts on the show and the series, but just on a capping off point of this show, we started the show with Kendall. And everyone brings up the whole setting the scene up for him taking over the reins, and the whole shot of the theme is Logan behind him looking upon his disciples. Oh, and by the way, the line of like Jesus and the disciples and Judas in the room by Lucas, hilarious line. Yeah, man, we end with this shot here again. Like I said, it was leading up to the show talking about how it would be dope if we ended the show with the last shot of the theme song, which is Logan sitting at the table, the head of the table from behind of him, leading the way. And there's been all these scenes behind Ken showing that, symbolizing he's going to be the one to take over. But obviously he doesn't. He ends with this shot with him looking behind and him not having anything to look forward to, just a blank slate of emptiness and ocean.
Really, like it's such an interesting way to it's such an interesting way for them to end it.
Yeah,
because and I thought it was like very eerie and interesting to see Colin was just there. He was just like in the background, just walking behind him. And I think it's like, that thing you just couldn't take accountability for right now. He's the one that really knows what's up too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. Like, it's like a metaphor, like that's going to still be following you.
Right.
You get nothing but this following you.
And to be honest too, I think Colin, because we saw him having some emotional breakdowns when he found out that his boss, but also friend, died. I think in a way, 9, that Colin also knows that he can't leave this kid alone for Logan's sake, because if it was up to Ken being by himself, I wouldn't be surprised if he hopped over this gate and went for a swim, bro.
Right.
So I think Colin is like actually kind of doing his dad a favor and looking out for this kid, because he's on You know, dark times, man. I don't think
Mhm.
he'll ever recover. Which brings me to the last point before we wrap it up. Nine. Speaking of legacy, man, what will you remember from Succession to where we started to where we ended? What's the legacy of this show for you, Nine?
The bars.
The bars.
Some of the best bars in all of in yeah, some of the best bars that HBO's got on. And I thought it was kind of interesting that the show itself has such a unique style, like
Yeah.
really mob mob mentality type thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, Nine. This show, when you think about it, if you're pitching this to someone, it's a bunch of corporate heads talking about corporate stuff in rooms and offices, but it's
Mhm,
some of the most riveting stuff you'll see on TV. As you mentioned,
mhm,
Jesse Armstrong is a master pinsman on writing the show, but it's another level to write these incredible scripts and all that stuff, but it's another level to have the right people saying the lines,
mhm,
and going back to just things to take away from the performances. Now for me is something that the legacy number one, and I want to go back to what you said because I'm a big score head. I love a good score. Like a score is just as important to me as cinematography,
mhm.
acting, writing, directing. A score really sets the tone, the mood, and that opening theme song to me, it's like up there with
Goated.
Game of Thrones and anything you think of. I put that up there. It sets the
Oh yeah.
tone for the episode. I love the theme. It's like you said,
Mhm,
goated. But then going back to the legacy of performances, Jeremy Strong, Kieran McCulkin, Sarah Snook, Brian Cox. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like Nine, I can't think of one bad episode in this series. I can't think of one weak link in the cast. Everyone,
mhm,
whether it was a Hugo, a Jerry, a
mhm.
Carolina, a Carrie, a Greg. I mean, the list goes on, man. Everyone brought their A game. Like they came to play. I think and I was watching the after show with Jesse Armstrong. He even said he doesn't think he'll be able to write another show like this again.
Mm,
Like and that's just the
mm.
immortality of like, this is my
Yeah,
greatest, this is my
right.
masterpiece. There's nothing more I can do.
Like, yeah, what more do you want from me?
Right. Are you not entertained? So
Yeah.
it takes a lot for someone to say that too, just because I mean, I'm sure that if I'm Max, you giving this
Uh,
man a blank check, give us the next Succession,
oh yeah.
sir. And he's just like,
Yeah, like what
I
I
think this
mean,
is it.
I'll be interested to see like what he does. I would
Yeah.
like if it's not another show, I would definitely like to see if he, writes a
Like a
movie
movie.
or like
Yeah.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. For sure, man.
where he's gonna put his hat into. But man,
100%.
legend,
Legend,
legendary.
man. This show is, I'll have to think about it for not only weeks, months, probably years, but like when I make that definitive, like this is the greatest show of all time. Like there's the Breaking Bads of the world, there's the Wires, there's the Sopranos, there's for me, Mad Men, The
Mhm.
Office, Living Single, stuff like that.
Atlanta.
Will Smith, Atlanta, Will Smith, Fresh Prince,
Oh
Martin,
yeah.
Atlanta. I mean, there's just so many great shows, and I think I'm not putting it anywhere, but this is a top tier show of all time
Oh
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Again, Nine, I'm not a big talky person as far as like shows that are just talk, 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 talk. Corporate
Right.
rooms, bunch of jargon
Yeah.
about politics. And it's like this. That sounds boring to me,
Mhm.
but it's the writing of the
Yeah.
show that made it so intriguing. It's the performances. It's the direction. It's just the shakiness of the camera that make you feel like you're in the room with them, and it's a
Right.
go to show, bro. It
It's
really is.
fantastic.
We talked about it last week. Nine. The final question I have for you, man: did they stick the landing? Is
I
this a
think they
finale that
did.
feels satisfying
I
for
think
you?
they did. I, and we're gonna ask the audience, and I want to see what people are saying. But I think this is good. Like, I don't go back and watch Game of Thrones after that finale. I, I've really no interest in going back and watching the show. For this, I'm still interested in like, picking up on new things. I'm going to give it a rewatch. I can't wait to give it a rewatch. Um, and that is probably like the baseline. Uh, I don't think I can write or come up with anything I would have rather wanted to see. Right. So I think yeah, it gets a thumbs up. It gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, man. Same for me, man. Again, I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode. You know, because I think you mentioned it last week that some of the best, or I was on some discussion of someone mentioning that most of the time the season finales sometimes end up being the best episode of the entire series. I don't know if I'm there quite yet with this particular episode. Like I do think, episode 3 is something that stands out to me still with the death of Logan, the funeral that we got last week, the Mencken being the president episode. This season was great.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, this season was just hit
fantastic.
after hit after hit. So it's going to be hard to where I replace this finale amongst the other 3 and where I replace this episode amongst the other 9. But, I would ultimately say I feel more pleased and satisfied. Of course, we mentioned there was some, things that weren't answered, but I don't think they ultimately mattered as much as
Right.
they,
It would have been nice if we got, everything, but
right,
again, it's got to end somehow or
right,
sometime.
right.
But I doubt, yeah, that's funny that you say that because, like, yeah, there's some really great moments in this episode.
Yeah,
But will I be saying it's the best of the season? No, I'm not saying that.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
some really great episodes in this one. But I don't think it's going to be like a polarizing ending. I don't think
yeah,
there's people that are
yeah.
going to be like, nah, this ending ruined the show for me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I
Or like,
agree. I
but
agree.
we'll see.
We'll see, yeah, what the
We'll
legacy of this
see.
show will be in the
Yeah.
coming days, weeks, months, to years. But now, I tell you what, man, this journey has been awesome because not only did I have this great community coming through every single week, but being able to chop it up with you, man, from going from Atlanta conversations to Succession, man. This is a good 2 for 2 in my eyes, man. I really appreciate you joining me these last 3 or 4 weeks, man. It's been an honor and so much fun to be on these panels with you and to bounce off different ideas and what worked and didn't work, man. It's been absolutely a blast, man. So I want to take the time to thank you, my friend, for joining me on this journey called Succession. And then again, I don't want to again leave without telling you thank you, man, for joining me these last few weeks. I really appreciate it, bro. And then for everyone at home, that's you guys were here, episode 1 of these after shows. I thank you. If you popped in on episode 5 or this is your first time watching, it means a lot. As Nine will tell you, man, the YouTube space, it has a lot of highs and lows. But when you have a group of people that consistently come and support the channel and support the streams, it means a lot as not only a content creator, but as a human being, right? It means people are having fun and they're liking something that you're bringing to the table, which, we all look for that, whether it's big or small validation of like, okay, whatever I'm doing it's working out for some people at home. So I thank y'all for supporting these streams. Like I said, we'll have more streams in the future, not only with other different guests, but definitely this won't be the last time you'll see me and Nine linking up, man. I'm such a big fan of his work and so happy that I was able to link up with him last year with Atlanta and now, with Succession. So again, guys, thank you. Before y'all exit tonight's conversation, hit that thumbs up, leave a thought in the comment section. And man, end of an era. And we have to say goodbye to the Roy family. And
hello, Tom Wamsgans.
Hello, Tom. I can't believe they did it. They did it, y'all. We're going to end on that note. Shout out to Tom. Peace out, everyone.